This is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
A Southern Kentucky teenager is dead after an accident in Lake Cumberland. Police say 2 teenagers were in a car that went into the lake in Russell County on Friday. One did not make it out. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more about what took place.
2 young people just days after graduation were attending an event with friends Friday night. They left, but police say the driver said they took a wrong turn out of a driveway.
Went just a short distance down the road and unfortunately entered the water, and he yelled to his passenger, "Get out, we're in the water." And he said, "I surfaced and looked back," and he said, "I never heard anything else."
The accident claimed the life of 17-year-old Cameron Powell of Somerset. It took place on Clifty Creek Road. People who live in the area say there's no markings to indicate the road ends in water. Police say at night, visibility could be a big issue.
It is a dark area around the lake of a night. The roads can end very quickly unless there's pole lights or things like that there. But yes, it can be a tragic event if you're not watching out around the lake like that of a night.
Sergeant Wilson says it's not common to see people accidentally drive into the lake. But this same area saw another drowning several years ago as a teenager was trying to swim across when he cramped up and went down.
And we strive to educate people, boaters and people around the lake. If you're going to be in the water, wear a life jacket. It don't make you less of a man or a woman to put a life jacket on. And if you cramp up, someone can come and get you. If you cramp up without a life jacket on, you've got problems.
Somerset Undertaking in Somerset is handling funeral arrangements. We're told that there was an autopsy. Preliminary results were that the cause of death for Cameron Powell was that of drowning. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Thank you, Phil. Police say they believe Cameron Powell's death was just a tragic accident and do not believe any charges will be filed. A deadly shooting happened early yesterday morning in Lexington. It happened downtown at around 2:30 a.m. Police say 31-year-old Scott Lawless shot and killed the victim on North Limestone and West Short Street. The coroner identified the victim as Kevin Real. Real died at the scene. With an event like this happening outside the doors of various downtown Lexington homes, some are worried that the area is becoming more violent. One man thinks police need to take situations like this more seriously in order to minimize crime.
I just think it's sad that when something does happen, they either don't arrest someone or it seems like they treat it differently than they used to.
In just under the first 6 months of 2023, there's already been 8 gun-related homicides in Lexington, the city's website says. But despite those statistics, others do not believe Lexington is dangerous. They believe it all depends on where you go and who you are with. Police did arrest Lawless in connection with the death of Real. He has been charged with murder and is currently being held at the Fayette County Detention Center. He is set to appear in court tomorrow for his arraignment hearing. Police in Rowan County are investigating the death of a middle school student this past weekend in Moorhead. Rowan County Middle School posted about the death on Saturday. The Rowan County Coroner's Office confirms the student was airlifted to UK Hospital where he later died. We have reached out to the Sheriff's Office to see what led up to the death. The school will have grief counselors on campus tomorrow. One southeastern Kentucky man is behind bars on a host of charges following 2 incidents late last week. The Knox County Sheriff's Office received information about a wanted fugitive that was driving on US 25 East near Barberville. When police saw the car and tried to stop it, the driver took off. Police ended up chasing 41-year-old Sandy Rice of Barberville to the Boone Height community, where he ended up taking off on foot. He was arrested shortly thereafter. The sheriff's office had already been looking for Rice for a previous trespassing complaint and to serve him on an indictment warrant. He was charged with several counts of wanton endangerment and several counts of assault, among others. Rice is being held in the Knox County Detention Center on a $20,000 cash bond and is expected to appear in court on June 1st. One Letcher County man was arrested after a traffic stop led to several charges. Late Saturday, May 20th, around 8:30 a.m., one state police trooper saw a moving violation on Highway 15 in Hazard. Another trooper joined to help stop the car. During the stop, the troopers believed the driver, 23-year-old Austin Endicott of Whitesburg, was driving under the influence. Once they got Endicott out of the car, police saw a gun laying out in the open in the car. When they ran his name through dispatch, the troopers discovered he was a convicted felon. A search of the car led to the discovery of more than 1 pound of meth, cocaine, and a large amount of money. Endicott was arrested and charged with speeding and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, among other charges. Police are asking for your help in identifying some suspects and their car following an early morning theft. It happened just before 6 a.m. this morning at a business off of Highway 552 just south of London. Officials with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office say extensive damage was done to the front of the building when the suspects tried to use an SUV to bust through the front door. If you know who the suspects might be, you were asked to contact the office at 606-864-6600 or message the office Facebook page.
Well, after a soggy Sunday across the mountains, most of us getting a little bit of a break for your Memorial Day evening, but a few stray showers are still possible across the mountains right now. Here's a live look at First Alert Pinpoint Doppler. As you can see, most of us looking at a clean sweep, but a few more stray sprinkles are possible, especially over the Big Sandy at this hour into portions of Buchanan County, Virginia. If you live near Grundy, just a heads up, a few showers are possible as we go over the next few minutes. Also possibly a few sprinkles over portions of Menifee County into Morgan County, just to the north of West Liberty at this hour. Those temperatures really all over the board, the middle to upper 70s, also upper 50s, lower 60s, and those temperatures stay cool as we go into tonight. But just a heads up, we are tracking some summer heat as early as tomorrow, but really by Friday and the weekend. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Olivia?
Thank you, Cameron. Memorial Day can be difficult for anyone who has lost a loved one while fighting for our country. But today can be especially hard for those who got to return home after their service. WYMT's Alyssa Williams checked in at the Paul E. Patton Eastern Kentucky Veterans Center to speak with veterans about what Memorial Day means to them.
For many, Memorial Day might mean a day off of work or a day to hit the lake. But for those at the Paul E. Patton Eastern Kentucky Veterans Center in Hazard, this day takes on a whole new meaning.
Memorial Day means I've had a lot of very good friends who died over in that place, and I'm not happy with it. But as far as the veterans and all of us are concerned, each one of us served in our own way.
U.S. Marines veteran Gary Rubidoux is just one of several veterans at the center who's experienced a loss firsthand.
It kind of pulls on your heartstrings, you know. Memorial Day, it reminds me of I lost 3 of my good buddies. We went in the same time, and they didn't make it back, and I think about them all the time.
Activities Director Jennifer Young says although this day can sometimes be a sad one for the veterans, she says they often lean on one another for support.
It may not be a really heartfelt talk. It may just be some really wild jokes and cutting up and let's get outside where the air is fresh. You'll see one of them go up to their buddy and say, hey, let's get outside. Let's go do something. And they'll pull each other aside and do stuff like that. For the most part, it's just them lifting each other up, and they never really have to talk about it.
And in the midst of activities the center hosts for veterans on this holiday, they still find time to honor the residents who died within the last year.
It feels like a huge responsibility, and it's something you really want to get right. You just want to make sure everything's right because they deserve perfection.
Some of the veterans say while you're out of the house on Memorial Day, make sure to take the time to thank a veteran for their service and to think of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
For all of these men in here who's been through that stuff, they deserve everything they can possibly do to continue on with their lives.
Hoping that through Memorial Day, those who were lost can live on. In Hazard, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Those at the center say they encourage young people to come and volunteer there whenever they can, in hopes that the younger generations can have a better understanding of how much these men and women have sacrificed for our country. People across the country took time on this day to honor the men and women who laid down their lives in sacrifice for our country, including in Frankfort, where Governor Andy Beshear attended a ceremony this morning. 5 names were added to the memorial that honors Kentucky National Guardsmen and women who died in the line of duty. Private John W. Hodge, Private Bernard J. Berghaus, Corporal Lloyd J. George, Captain Cecile D. Butler, and Lieutenant Colonel Joseph M. Kelly. These additions bring the total number of names to 291 soldiers and airmen since 1912.
Of each of our service members that we're remembering here today, I would offer for everybody that it's not just the person in uniform, but it's their family that also bears the responsibility, the burden of service.
Of the new names, 1 died in 1919 following federal service on the southwest border, 1 in 1937 following state active duty in Louisville during the Great Flood of 1937, and 3 others who died during World War II. A group of veterans walked from Richmond to Winchester to bring awareness to veteran suicide. The 7th annual Ruck Walk started at 6 this morning in Richmond. They say the 22 miles and 22-pound backpack symbolize the statistical average of 22 veterans who take their own lives every day. Organizers say they want to break the stigma of asking for help. Benjamin Joint, who currently serves in the Kentucky Army National Guard, says he lost 2 friends to suicide, and when people see them out walking, it's very effective.
These are actually 2 people that I served with that have taken their own life, and so I'm just carrying their tags on this march. If they see us, supporting them, then maybe they feel like they're a bit more connected.
There is a Veterans Crisis Line. You can dial 988, then press 1 for help, or you can text 838-255. Every year, a Memorial Day ceremony is held in Barberville to highlight the sacrifices of all veterans. WYMT's RJ Johnson was at the event as they honored those who died.
Members of the Barberville community gathered in support of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Memorial Day is all about honoring the soldiers that had went on before us that died in war, and I wanted to particularly mention my friend that I had died in war, First Lieutenant Brian Bradshaw.
Kentucky National Guard Lieutenant Colonel Jason Parton says it was an honor to speak at this event.
Well, we have to remember that our freedom is never free. Our freedom comes at a cost, and it comes at a cost to the men and women in the armed forces service that have sacrificed their life for our freedom.
They even honored 3 veterans from the Barberville area.
I was glad to get the opportunity to come here. I was glad to be asked to come and speak to the audience today, and we honored three veterans, 2 from Vietnam War and 1 from World War II.
Of those veterans was 100-year-old Paul Jones, who was a carrier pilot for the Navy during World War II.
As one of my great privileges was serving our country and being a naval aviator.
He says it was a privilege to be honored.
It's easy to forget during the year if you're not reminded occasionally, and this is a great turnout. It's quite a privilege to be up here, be part of it. I'm very thankful.
Parton says it is important to never forget where our freedoms come from.
We never need to forget why we have our freedoms. Our freedoms, because you see all these flags on these graves out here, that's the men and women that died for our country. And we need not forget those. That's something we have to pass on from generation to generation and remember this day.
Both Jones and Parton are happy to honor the lives of those who have fallen. In Barberville, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Parton says the rain held some people from coming to the event, but all of the love and support from the community he grew up in meant a lot. Of course, it's just not those here in the Commonwealth honoring veterans. There was a special dedication in Wayne County, West Virginia. The CK Community Center held a ceremony today to dedicate their new Veterans Honor Room. Photos of local veterans are displayed around the room, showing their name, branch of military, and the dates they served. This memorial is the first of its kind in Wayne County.
We just really got to complete it. We're still looking for more veterans pictures because it's an ongoing process. The people that's not here, if they would just send in a picture, we'll scan it. All we need is a branch of service and years served.
If there's a local veteran you would like to nominate, you can contact the board president, Larry Moore. There's no cost to nominate loved ones or to have your picture displayed.